The year 2026 is already shaping up to be one of the most important years for people living on SSI, SSDI, Social Security retirement, and VA disability benefits. With so many seniors and disabled Americans relying on these monthly checks to cover essentials like food, medications, and housing, even a small change in the annual cost of living adjustment, known as COLA, can make a meaningful difference. Many viewers have been reaching out with questions, concerns, and confusion about how the 2026 COLA might impact their payments and whether they should expect an increase, a decrease, or another year of historically unpredictable changes. Today, I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know with the calm, clear, and professional guidance you've come to expect from SSA now. My goal is simple: to make sure you are informed, prepared, and never left guessing about your benefits. As we move closer to 2026, many seniors and disability recipients are watching the economy closely, especially after the unusual swings we experienced over the last few years. From rising grocery prices to fluctuating fuel costs to changing medical expenses, inflation has affected every household differently. The cost of living adjustment exists specifically to help you keep up with these kinds of rising prices. But this year, economists and policy experts are seeing early signals that the COLA for 2026 might behave differently than what many beneficiaries have become used to, especially after the high COLAs we saw in previous inflation-heavy years. While no official numbers have been released yet, I will guide you through the early forecasts, what they mean, and how they could influence your monthly payment. The important thing to understand is that COLA is based on inflation data from a specific period, not guesses, not politics, not promises, just the numbers collected by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. They track something called the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers, or CPIW. Every year, the Social Security Administration uses this data to determine how much benefits should rise to match the cost of goods and services. For the 2026 adjustment, the SSA will rely on inflation data from July, August, and September of 2025. That means even though you won't see official numbers until fall, experts are already studying early economic trends, inflation movements, and the direction of consumer prices so they can estimate whether beneficiaries can expect a boost or a slowdown. Right now, early indicators suggest that inflation may be moderating compared to the highs we've experienced in past years. This doesn't mean prices are falling, it simply means they may not be rising as fast as before. For seniors, this often feels different than what the data shows. You may still notice groceries costing more, medications feeling more expensive, and everyday essentials creeping up in price, even if the national inflation rate is slowly cooling. Because of this, many people worry that a lower COLA could leave them struggling to keep up. While the early data is leaning toward a more modest adjustment, it's still too early to know exactly how strong or gentle next year's increase will be. What matters right now is understanding how these early trends might shape the final decision. Across the board, beneficiaries who rely on SSI, SSDI, Social Security retirement, and VA disability payments are asking the same question: if inflation slows down, will my monthly check go down too? The good news is that Social Security payments never decrease due to COLA. Even if the inflation rate drops significantly, your monthly benefit does not go backward. The COLA can only move your payment upward or remain at zero. It cannot reduce it. This means that every beneficiary, no matter the program, can expect stability. There is no risk of your Social Security or VA benefits shrinking as a result of the 2026 adjustment. The only unknown is how large the increase will be. However, what makes the 2026 COLA especially interesting is the combination of economic pressure points that seniors uniquely feel. Grocery prices are still higher than they were before the pandemic. Prescription medications remain one of the biggest monthly expenses for older Americans, and housing costs have not come down. Even when inflation slows, these long-term price elevations can make everyday living feel more burdensome, especially for retirees who are living on fixed incomes. Many seniors worry that an average or low COLA might not fully reflect their lived reality. This is why economists are closely examining not just inflation as a whole, but categories that impact seniors the most, such as food, electricity, rent, and medical care. For SSI recipients, the 2026 COLA has its own unique impact. Because SSI is tied directly to inflation and benefits are often limited for individuals with very low income, even a small increase can help offset rising personal expenses. For SSDI recipients, many of whom rely on their check as their primary or only income, the annual COLA is critical to staying financially stable. For retirees, especially those without pension income or personal savings, the COLA determines how comfortably they can manage their monthly bills. And for veterans who rely on VA disability compensation, the COLA ensures their benefits maintain their value year after year, regardless of what happens in the broader economy. As economic analysts look toward 2026, one of the most important factors they are watching is core inflation, the long-term movement of prices without including the ups and downs of food and energy. This is where many seniors feel the most pressure. While the national conversation tends to focus on gas prices or housing, core inflation reveals the slow but continuous rise in medical services, insurance, and prescription drug costs. For older Americans, these are not optional expenses. They are essential, and they tend to rise faster than general inflation. Even when overall inflation cools, the medical sector does not always follow. This is one reason policymakers keep a close eye on the COLA formula and occasionally discuss alternatives that better track senior spending patterns. But despite these ongoing discussions, the COLA system remains the same for now. The adjustment for 2026 will come strictly from CPIW data collected in 2025. So what should seniors expect based on the early trends? Economists are noticing that while inflation is significantly lower than previous years, it is not disappearing. Prices remain elevated, wage growth is steady, and several categories essential to seniors continue to show upward movement. These factors suggest a modest but meaningful COLA, likely not a massive one, but not a zero adjustment either. Again, nothing is official, but the early picture points to a stable change that could help soften the increased cost of daily living without the dramatic fluctuations seen in earlier years. One of the most common questions we hear is whether political changes will affect COLA for 2026. The answer is no. While political decisions influence many aspects of government programs, the COLA formula is locked in place by law and cannot be overridden by executive orders, political parties, or personal preferences. That means whether there is an election year, a new administration, or a shift in Congress, your COLA will still be based strictly on CPIW inflation data. No president or political figure can directly raise or lower your COLA. This helps protect beneficiaries from instability and ensures fairness across the board. For many Americans living on fixed incomes, planning ahead is just as important as the adjustment itself. Even without exact numbers, understanding that a modest increase is likely can help families prepare their budgets. Seniors may choose to review recurring expenses, look at upcoming medical needs, or reevaluate insurance plans for 2026. SSDI and SSI recipients may consider how their cost of living could shift and whether they need to apply for additional support programs. Veterans can look for changes in VA compensation that typically mirror the Social Security COLA. Being prepared is always easier when you understand the process, and that is exactly why this information matters. Another concern beneficiaries often raise is whether Medicare premiums could offset part of the COLA increase. This has happened before. Seniors receive a COLA boost, and then Medicare Part B premiums rise at the same time, reducing the net increase. For 2026, it's too early to know exactly what Medicare premiums will do, but the same rule applies. These decisions are separate, and a higher premium does not erase the COLA. It may reduce the amount seniors take home, but the COLA itself remains intact. As we get closer to 2026, Medicare updates will provide clearer insight into how those premiums might change and how they may affect retirees' take-home Social Security payments. Even though Social Security benefits cannot decrease due to COLA, some individuals worry about their specific situation. For example, Will my SSDI payment drop if inflation slows, or can my VA compensation shrink? The answer, again, is no. Your base benefit remains protected. You will either receive an increase or experience a year with no COLA, depending on the inflation rate. There is no scenario where your payment is reduced because of the COLA formula. As we wait for more data to solidify, the most important takeaway is this: the 2026 COLA will reflect the economic conditions that seniors and disabled Americans are facing right now. While the adjustment will likely be smaller than the large increases seen during the highest inflation periods, beneficiaries can still expect stability, predictability, and protection from any decrease in their monthly payments. The Social Security and VA systems are designed to adapt to inflation, not to punish recipients during economic shifts. So, as we look ahead to 2026, remember that you are not alone in navigating these changes. Millions of Americans depend on SSI, SSDI, Social Security retirement, and VA benefits. The COLA adjustment is one of the most important tools in keeping these programs strong and responsive. And here on SSA Now, you will always receive clear, calm, professional updates that help you understand what's happening, what it means for your benefits, and how you can prepare. As new data comes in, I will bring you step-by-step explanations so you can stay informed and confident about your financial future.